morning, everybody. Welcome to Great Day Houston on this Medical Monday. We hope you had a great weekend. Well, one of the healthiest and easiest things to do is to drink more water, right? How many times have people told you drink more water? But the water crisis in Flint, Michigan has many of us questioning whether that's a good idea, especially when it's coming from tap. This is what caught people's attention in Flint. You can clearly see that something is in that tap water. Tests showed elevated levels of lead, and that can create long-lasting health issues, especially in children. Since there are various ways we can be exposed to lead, we're wondering how much can the body take and what are the symptoms of lead poisoning? It's time to ask our doctors in our medical hot topics. And on our panel today, please welcome general practitioner and anti-aging specialist Dr. Bruce McClendon, ear, nose, and throat specialist Dr. Caroline Yoon, and chiropractor Dr. Tony DeRamus. Good morning. Good morning. All right. The deal with lead in particular. So lead does crazy things in the body.
Yeah, I mean, it causes lots of symptoms, especially in small children. And it's hard to figure out because it causes nausea, constipation, weakness, mental fatigue, hearing loss.
It mimics a lot of other issues.
Yeah, so it's really sometimes hard to know that that's the problem. And the reason you see it in children more is because of the dirt and paint were really heavily leaded. And
so, we used to use lead paint at one time.
Yeah, and the houses used to be made before 1949. Most houses had lead paint. So once they figured out the lead was, the babies were eating the lead and they were having these poisoning, it was very, that's when they changed the paint.
Yeah, and then of course we've been exposed to it in so many different ways. A few years ago they had the recall on the Thomas the Train toys.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, and then we see it also in jewelry. In fact, I always wonder when I go and I buy jewelry, like costume jewelry, and it'll say on it, lead compliant. What exactly does lead compliant mean?
You know, the other scary thing, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The only other scary thing about lead is not only do you have the immediate effects, but there are long-term effects. And for kids, and sometimes you really can't quantify it. You just know their behavior is more aggressive. There's been association with lead poisoning and crime rates. So it's something that's going to have a long-term effect. That can be disastrous.
And the thing that you can't necessarily put your finger on right away.
Exactly.
All right, drinking water. You know, we've heard this over and over again when it comes to drinking water. Should you drink the tap water, or should you drink out of the bottles because the bottles get heated up as they're crossing the desert in a truck coming to your grocery store, that the plastic can leach into it and all that type of stuff. So in general with drinking water, which by the way, don't drink the water in your cup because I don't... Oh, that's not water, that's vodka. Okay. Good. Anyway.
That's the way to eliminate lead.
Yeah, exactly. Because alcohol kills germs, right? Alcohol kills germs. But with drinking water, I mean, what do you prescribe to?
Well, you know, I think when you're dealing with water in general, we saw in Flint that there's a problem with tap water at times when you depend on other people. We also have bottled water, as you mentioned, that we deal with the bisphenol A. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but you go into a grocery store and you see outside this huge pallet of water just baking in the middle of the sun.
Yeah.
Now, there's some good research behind BPA, and it's not good for the body. So, I have a tendency to just err on the side of caution with these things. I think the best option at this point is to look at maybe a whole house filtration system that we can use so we know exactly the type of quality water we use in our own homes.
Yeah. All right. This next topic. How many of you have wondered how you will die? I mean, just kind of entered your mind. I mean, yeah, it's kind of morbid, but you think, gosh, how you will die. Well, there's a new interactive test that may have the answer, at least kind of calculates the likelihood of a person dying from cancer or an infection or external causes. As doctors, sometimes you can see where somebody is heading. If somebody has type 2 diabetes, for example, you can see where that's heading.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty typical that, you know, infants going to die from infection more likely than anything else, or congenital diseases. Youth, you know, they don't die except from accidents normally.
Yeah.
But then after that, because of hypertension and blood pressure, you know, heart disease becomes the biggest issue, as well as, you know, diabetes, and then, you know, cancer.
Yeah. So the test
when you get older,
and then, of course, over the age of 80, high chance of dying from circulatory problems as well. All right. So having this test, would you want that test out there so people could go, hey,
when I first looked at the test, you know, we spend so much time trying to eliminate negativity and fear in our life. I'm thinking, I'm not going to take a test like this. Why would I want to know and wake up every day how I'm going to die? But after I looked at the test, it makes a little more sense in terms of the predictability, and it's just common sense factors that would
And what
probably
makes that any different than, say, when you go get your physical so you know where you stand? So if something said that you're likely to die from cancer, perhaps you can be more proactive and get your exams and things like that?
Exactly. Screening is so important, you know, for heart disease, cancers, and that's, you know, when we're doing physical exams, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And those are the things that are going to kill most adults, is cancer and heart disease. So that's why you should be screening for those types of things.
When you get older, too, you have the cumulative effects. You know, if you're going to eat bacon every day, at some point it's going to get you.
What's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with eating bacon every day?
Actually, the oldest human in the United States ate bacon every day. She was on the news lately. Yeah, she was like 110 or something.
My dad was 97.
What is she? Yeah.
My dad was 97.
Good genetics.
Good,
Yeah, and that does play
Genes
a
are
role
important.
too. Sometimes we always think that, you know, we put everybody in one category and say, like, when you turn the age so-and-so, you should do this. You should test and see what your body needs to do.
Absolutely. Genetics play a big role in this. And we hear that story of the person drinking a 6-pack a day and eating bacon all their life and they live to be 100. That doesn't apply to everyone.
Right,
no.
right.
So
Well, my dad was 97 when he passed away, my mom 93, and they do that. And my mom's fine, basically, but it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be fine. Right. Okay, this next one's kind of interesting. This goes back and forth. It's happened ever since cell phones came out, this argument that cell phones cause problems, right? This one says, are cell phones causing hallucinations? Okay, it says people are feeling the so-called phantom buzz. You know, you're walking around the store and you're shopping, and all of a sudden you feel your purse buzz or your pocket buzz, and you look only to see that nobody's called you, no one sent a message, there's no email, no anything. Right. So, but I'm telling you, I really am feeling my buzz. And I think there's an interaction between like the security system in the store or something. Mine's really buzzy.
I vouch for that. The first time it happened to me, I'm like, what happened? My leg's vibrating.
Yeah.
And my phone was sitting on the table, and it's like, what is going on here? What, you know, and that, you know, goes away in, you know, 30 seconds or so, and then it happened again like a week later, and I got a disease or something.
Right.
You know?
But our phones are buzzing so much that we actually psychologically are connected to them, aren't we?
Now I'm just used to them. They happen about, you know, once a week.
Yeah. Are you buzzing right now?
No.
You know,
No, I didn't have the vodka yet.
it's kind of like being a mother. You know, when you're a new mother and you always think your baby is crying because you're so in tune to it. You're so aware. And I think the same thing now is happening with our cell phones. We need to know when we have a text immediately. We need to know when there's a new email.
Right.
And so we are, you know, your mind plays tricks on you. And I think it's very similar to that. We are so hooked in.
It's an extension of our body.
Absolutely.
And you know, the body works off a habit and association, so it's just natural to have a sensation like that and assume that it's the first thing that we're used to anyways.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like when somebody stops smoking after doing that habit for so many years that they want to bring their hand to their mouth like that. All right, this next one, I don't know where they get these people who are doing these surveys and stuff. I hope this one, I hope this one did not get any government money, okay? Because I pay enough in taxes, and I hope that we didn't pay. It says that beards can actually be bad for your health. Beards harbor a lot of bacteria, but they say it also could help in development of new antibiotics. Who sat down and said, you know, we should do something about beards?
The government, of course.
So, what do y'all know about this here? It's actually
Well, you know, obviously, when you have hair right below your mouth, things are going to get in it, and you're going to get, you know, food stuffs and stuff like that, which bacteria love, and they hide. And, you know, if you have a dense beard, it's harder to get it all cleaned up.
Yeah.
But what was interesting in the study was the fact that the bacteria were competing for the space. And some bacteria were producing molecules that were killing the other bacteria. And so as science is beginning to see this as a source of new antibiotics, we haven't had a new antibiotic in 30 years.
Right.
So we're really...
the antibiotics we have right now are becoming less and less
effective. So we're really looking for new sources of antibiotics. So this could be potentially an area where we could see a new antibiotic come out of these molecules that are being made by the bacteria.
Okay, well, I'll take it back then.
It's an interesting medium to have to have these type of patterns develop. Just like our white coats, I'm sure there's all sorts of crazy stuff happening with our white coats.
Yeah.
But that being said, good or bad, I wouldn't want James Harden to shave it and lose his mojo. So he's got to keep it.
There you go. Okay. Speaking of beards, today on Facebook, we want to know who wears